Howdy y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is A.R. Kavli, and we're going to follow the now deadly expedition of the Wanda and her crew on LW-610. When we left off, Luke had just figured out how to start smoking. He had started figured out how to short out and cause a fire using the inspiration tables from the Hostile Solo rulebook, a fire to move. So fire and move. He set a fire using electrical current, shorting out equipment to force her out of there. So as the smoke fills the bridge, Alicia is looking around for anything to put it out. There's obviously there are emergency extinguishers, but then another one of the consoles pops, and this one actually catches on fire. And she gets the fire extinguisher, and she's putting one out, but it's not working as well because they're electrical fires, and she can put them out, but as long as there's still a short, as long as there's still something going on, as long as there's still power getting down there, it's still causing things to burn. And she's finding it hard to breathe. It's choking her. And I would assume that in the bridge there's going to be some kind of like air mask or emergency oxygen masks, if not actual flight suits or like vac suits. They've landed, so they probably would have stowed their flight suits somewhere. But I'm gonna say on a 4, 5, or 6. Actually, let's say 3, 4, 5, or 6. There is some kind of oxygen mask or something that she can put on. All right. So she runs over to her station, and she pops out an emergency breathing apparatus, and it covers her face, and she's able to plug it into different oxygen ports throughout the ship. This is kind of something they have on submarines too. And so she plugs it into one of the emergency valves near the hatch, and she's trying to still fight the fires, but it's getting out of control. It's more than she can handle at this point. So now she's panicked. She tucks her screwdriver into her or puts it in her pocket, and she's got the fire extinguisher. This man has killed 2 people already. He's crazy. She does not want to get into a fight with him, and now the fire alarm is going off. And in a space like this, what they would normally do is either fill it with something that removes the oxygen, like halon, or in a spaceship they might, evacuate the atmosphere to stop. But that's not an option here because she's inside and they're in an atmosphere, so neither one of those are an option. So her plan is she's going to open the hatch, and she's going to try to spray him in the face and run by and go hide, go do something. Does she remember? I'm going to give her a reaction roll to see if she keeps her cool. Does she remember to unlock the hatches? Because she might actually want to run away from this ship, to get away from this guy. All right, so she does. As right before she gets out and before the controls burn up, she remembers to unlock the hatches. So now anyone can open them, but she's hoping Luke doesn't realize that. She opens the hatch and she sees Luke. He's outside the hatch, and he also has one of the emergency breathing apparatuses, and it's plugged in nearby as well. And she sprays him in the face. It doesn't do as much as she'd hoped because he has this thing over his face protecting him, but it will still obscure his vision, especially since all the smoke is now billowing out of the bridge. Let's see. Let's move our little token here. He's right here. He's not right outside the hatch because he figures she probably would do something like that. But he's close enough. He's trying to block her way. So she's going to try to, let's see, what's she going to do? It's got to be quick. Come on. What's she going to do, Alicia? She's going to jump down here. She's going to try. She sees him in the way, and so she's going to keep spraying, and she's going to try to go to the hatch to the lower crew section. And so I think this is going to be a, let's see. I'm going to have her make a agility roll to see if she can get by him. Let's see, what is her agility? I think all of her ratings are pretty high. Oh yeah, or dexterity, sorry. Her dexterity is 12, so she's really fast on her feet. What's his, if he's going to oppose? Oh, his dexterity is pretty good too. So I think what we'll do is we will use the contested roll, and whoever has the highest effect wins. The rules for contested rolls, or what it calls opposed roll, an opposed roll where two characters make task rolls in opposition to one another, the character with the highest effect wins. So basically, whoever makes their roll, whoever shows up with firstest with the mostest wins that contest. So we will roll Alicia Sharp, just a dexterity roll, no modifiers or anything. All right, so 9. So she's got a 9. She has an effect of 1 because she rolled 1 over 8. Now for Luke, five. All right, so he didn't pass it at all. She manages to, she sprays the thing and throws it. She sprays the fire extinguisher in his face, and he tries to reach out, and she throws it at him, and it bounces off of his mask and causes him to stumble and lose track of where she is, just enough that she gets to the hatch, and she slides down. She slides down those rails and lands down at the bottom. Luke, as he's looking around, realizes where she's gone, and then heads down, chasing her. So she's making a beeline for the exit. If she leaves, then she hopes he'll leave her be. All right. since she made her roll, her agility roll, she's got a pretty good lead on him. He didn't even make it, so she's got a good lead. But as she's running out, let's see. Her emergency breathing apparatus does not. There's not a filter in it. It's designed to be used in the ship. So if she runs outside, oh, she can't go outside without grabbing some kind of survival kit. Otherwise, she's going to die eventually, because she doesn't even know if she doesn't know what she's going to have to do outside. She hasn't been in contact with the ATV. So as far as she knows, the ATV is dead already. Maybe he's done something to him. Maybe they're stuck. She doesn't know. So, what does she do? She gets there. She doesn't her two choices, because he's coming right behind her, and he's got his hammer. The blood now starting now to dry, since it's been hours since they've died, and the klaxons are still going too. So she runs through, and she's going to try to force this door shut. Okay, it's an interior door. She's going to try to jam it. She's going to lock it, and quickly try to. Oh, she's going to take her screwdriver. She's going to shut the door, and she jabs her screwdriver into one of the locks or something to jam it shut, while she starts rummaging around for one of the survival packs that they keep. All right. Bam, bam. Where are you going, Alicia? Alicia, that was not very nice. You do want to leave me. You said I could leave. I'm leaving. Leave me alone. Stay on the damn ship. Have the whole hellhole to yourself. And she manages to grab one, because they do have these convenient little packs, survival packs or whatever. She rips one free of the Velcro, rips her emergency breathing mask off, and she puts one of these external atmospheric filters on her face, and she opens the airlock, and then she's going to try to shut the airlock and cause it to lock as it's cycling before she goes outside, which she won't be able to immediately override. That's the plan anyway. How long does he manage to break through before she does that, before she's able to do that? I think her plan is I think her plan is probably pretty sound, because even though it's an interior door, and it's not like a pressure door, they're still fairly sturdy. So I'm going to say only on a 5 or a 6, because he does have a hammer, so he has the tools to pry it open. 5 or a 6, he gets open. He gets it open before she can. Nope. All right, so she gets through, and she closes the hatch to the inner hatch to the airlock as it starts to cycle, just as he bashes through the door, sending her screwdriver flying. And he runs, and he hits the door, and he tries to wedge his hammer into the airlock before it completely latches, but he's not able to do it. And she hears him cussing at her through the hatch as the final millimeters shut. And she cycles the outside. She makes a quick check that her filter is working and attached. Make sure that it's sealed around her face, and she, when the outside opens, she leaps through and she escapes through that hatch. But as she lands, she's not looking around. She trips on Benicio. She trips on him. Now, he was knocked unconscious, and he was not able to get back inside. He's been outside for several hours now. So he would normally have woken up after a certain number of minutes or hours, and well, we'll just review that for rules' sake. See, he was incapacitated because 2 of his attributes were down to 0, and he would have been knocked out for 2 die 6 minutes. But there was no way for him to get inside. He was pretty hurt, and since that time, he's been outside. And he just simply, between his injuries and the atmosphere, he succumbed. He succumbed. I'm going to reduce him down to 0 and give him the big red X. Now she suspected, and so she looks at him for a second and shakes her head, but she's still in danger. He's dead. She takes off. She's running into the bush, into the closest area around where they've landed. Now where they've landed is pretty flat, but she just takes off running. She just takes off running. Let's see. I'm going to say he only tries to chase her on a 6. Because now he's got the ship. She can't leave him. And by the time because he has to go get his own mask too, assuming he's still coherent enough to realize that. But only on a 6. No. All right, so he does open the airlock though, and he shuts it, and then he opens the outer one, and he starts to cough as the gas, as he rips his mask off, and he leans out, and he's like, "Don't come back, Alicia! Don't you come back!" And he puts his mask back down, and he clears it. He blows it to blow out the bad air, and he shuts the airlock and retreats inside. And Alicia is now out. She's out. She's gotten well away from the ship. One other thing that I think is very likely, in fact, I think it's so likely that I'm not going to bother to roll, that their little travel pack has a radio in it, a handheld walkie-talkie of some kind. And as she's running, she's calling, "Owen, Owen, are you there? Owen, anybody on the rover? Anybody, Rover 1?" And she gets a response. "Alicia, Alicia, are you okay? Where are you?" That's Owen is replying on the radio. "I've just escaped. I just got out. I just escaped the ship. I'm out with a survival pack. Where are you guys? Where the fuck are you?" "I'm sorry, we were stuck in a storm, and the storm damaged the ways back, wiped out the path. We had to find another way around, and it's wild out here, but we're nearby. Our inertial tracker shows that we're within 30 minutes. Where are you?" "I'll meet you I'll meet you at Waypoint Alpha on that big cluster of trees to the southwest of the Wanda. And so she races towards the trees, and as she's waiting, she's picked up a stick. Actually, she's got there's probably some kind of like a survival knife or something. So she's got the knife from the little travel pack, and she's hiding. She's staring at the Wanda, looking for any sign of movement, because he does have vehicles in there still. She knows this. He's got some quads, and I think he's got a Jeep. So if he really wanted to, if he figures out, which he probably will, that the airlocks are now unlocked, um, he could drive out. But there's no movement from the Wanda at all. And actually, she's wondering if he's going to end up dying from the fire. She doesn't even know. But she finally hears the rumble of the armadillo as it tears up the tundra behind it, and climbing up over a hill, and comes to a skidding, shuddering stop nearby. The hatch opens up, and everybody in there rushes out to find her, and she just collapses, sobbing, into someone's arms. Who does she go collapsing into? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably just a matter of whoever is closest. Okay. Oops. Get back down there. 1. All right. So she collapses into Penelope's arms, sobbing. And this is their second interaction, so I'm going to go ahead, and because remember, Penelope came up to the bridge to clean up the shitter, so I'm gonna take this opportunity. I'm just gonna roll a reaction for, or a relationship for those two. All right, so I'm just gonna roll up. It's on page 69 here. Let's see what our reaction is. All right, a 22, a 2, 2 for the reaction. That gives us ignores or ridicules. All right. So Alicia is not going to ignore or ridicule because she's the one kind of having the come apart, having the meltdown. So Penelope, perhaps thinking back to the shitter incident, or maybe something, she let's see. Okay, I'm gonna say on 1 through 3, it's good it's like mean ridiculing, or at least stressful ridiculing. On a 4, 5, or 6, it's going to be her ridiculing to try as levity to try to lighten the mood somehow. So 4, 5, or 6, good. Okay. All right. So she holds Alicia in her arms, and as Alicia is sobbing into her filter mask, Penelope says, "Well, what took you so long?" And she means it to be funny. I'm going to use that as I'm going to make a reaction roll. I'm going to see how well that's taken. 8. Okay, so it's a success. Penelope runs, pulls back Alicia's hair, and Alicia, she's sobbing, and in the middle of the sob, she laughs. She lets out like a stress relieving laugh, and then buries her shoulder again on Penelope, and everyone else is starting to they gather in, just asking what happened, asking what happened, and finally Giovanni says, "Let's get out of this. Let's everyone into the ATV. Come on." And so they pile into the ATV, and Alicia just unloads, telling them what happened, telling them how she escaped, telling them that she thinks that, or she tells them that Luke said the captain thought he'd been infected with something. And Rosemary says, if we can get a sample or something, we can figure it out. And of course, Owen Carter says, if that means that he's infected with something, that could mean that any one of us could get infected. Do you know how he got infected? And Alicia, she puts her face in her hands and shakes her head. I don't even know if he is infected. He's crazy, Owen. He's crazy. He's blood splattered, and he's crazy. And so she takes a couple of minutes to get back together. And Giovanni points out the obvious. Well, we've got to get the ship back. Well, unless he's locked the hatches again, it should be open. Owen, he rubs her shoulders and he says, "Don't worry, I've got the code. I can open the ramp for emergency situations to get back in. Okay, if nothing else, we can manually open it. We have the tools." And Alicia nods her head. So how do we get him? He set up all sorts of traps. I mean, I didn't even think he knew the circuitry that well. He said he set a trap for the captain. He shorted the door, and I saw that spark, so I believe he did that. I saw that scoring on the door. And he set the bridge. The bridge may be on fire right now. Oh my God. He shorted something out to cause a fire on the bridge to smoke me out, and it worked. I couldn't. It was just too much. Penelope stands up and says, if he destroys the bridge, we're all fucked. That's an understatement. Owen says, well, we've got to go in there. We've got to go in there. We've got to make sure the fire gets out and that we restrain him. We should probably just kill him, Giovanni says, as he reaches in and he pulls out one of the expedition rifles. He slaps a magazine in it, racks around. The man's killed 2 people. We can't take a chance. But Owen Carter, he's good friends with Luke. That's their relationship. And so he pulls out a stun stick that they basically used against when they want to explore and not kill the local wildlife. Something they can just zap and drive them off. And it's possible they have a tranquilizer in there too. But I was thinking about that, and given the different body chemistries that you might find around, chemistry, a tranquilizer that works on human biology may not be all that useful somewhere else. But no one likes getting zapped. So he's got a stun stick. And there is another expedition rifle. See, does anyone grab it? Say on a 4, 5, or 6. On a 5 or 6, someone else grabs it. Otherwise, despite everything, they don't really want to kill their crewmate. They want to find out what's happened, especially as Rosemary points out, we need to take him alive if we can to study the infection. I mean, that think of the bonus we'll get if we already know how to fight this infection, or we already have discovered this problem. All right, so 5 or 6, someone else grabs a rifle. No. All right. So everyone else has grabbed stunners. All right. But don't kill him, Giovanni. I don't want to kill him, Owen. But if you guys can't stop him with those, he pats his rifle. I'm going to stop him with this. So the stats for guns, this is definitely one of the places where you might want to use one of the free Zozer games, one of their free toolkits. There's one that discusses and has stats for all the guns. I think it's still free. I think you can get it free still. But since, like I said, I'm trying to just use hostile, we will use the stats here. And we'll just it's a hunting rifle. All right. Now, I haven't done and it's maybe just the way I think, the way I play, the way I prefer, or not necessarily prefer, but the way I'm used to. I've been playing these in small encounters as a short list of task roles, but now I'm going to use the scene resolution process that the hostile solo uses. Okay. So instead of coming up with more tactical planning and moving people around and things like that, we're going to say we're going to use the scene resolution. All right. So the first step of the scene resolution mechanic is to make up a plan. Put yourself in the character's boots. All right. So what they have to do is they have 2 main tasks. One, they need to make sure that they can keep the bridge from being completely destroyed. And the other, they need to hunt Luke down. They want to try to capture him alive if possible, and not just so they can get a sample of whatever he may be infected with. He is still their friend for the most part, and he's especially Owen's friend. So they're going to make a plan. And then once the plan is, you kind of come up with a plan, and you have to kind of dispassionately look at it, like honestly, right? You come up with a reasonable plan by putting yourself in that group's shoes. What kind of things will we do? And it doesn't have to be super in depth, but maybe a little more detail than, oh, we barge in and catch them, right? So, and then you evaluate the plan, and you make a single die roll to see if it works out or not. Okay, and then once you decide whether it works out or not, then you kind of go back and describe what happened, how it failed, how it worked. Okay, and when you are the difficulty is based on the description, the difficulty of the plan. Okay, and it doesn't necessarily mean, at least as I would play it, that the difficulty is related to the complexity. That's part of it. So if you have a bunch of moving parts and you have a bunch of people who are each supposed to do different things in this whole scene, then that's going to make it more dangerous. Okay, But if you're dealing with something in a dangerous area anyway, something that's really hard, like in this case, they are trying to storm a ship with 5 people, uh, while hopefully capturing somebody inside and keeping the bridge from burning. Now, to me, there's quite a few things that can go wrong, okay? Because they don't know where he's at. There's equipment on the ship that he has access to, possibly even more firearms from the expedition gear. He's known to set booby traps. It took them a while, okay? And the ship itself, it has observation blisters, so he's been outside and he was probably watching her the whole time. And he knows that they're coming back eventually. He may have even heard them on the radio. So I'm going to say that quite a few things could go wrong. And anybody who's had any kind of building clearing training, doing drills for that, knows that a lot of things can go wrong because there's a lot of places to hide on that ship. A lot of things that that Luke could do for them. So unless I can come up with something maybe reasonably that takes care of those eventualities, then it might become solid. Like it's a good plan, it'll work. Okay. And then in this case, foolproof, almost nothing could go wrong. That wouldn't be for something like this because it's dangerous. But if they were to go in and they had a lot of advantages, they're trying to convince some bureaucrat, and maybe they had the authority to do it, they had the money, that would be almost foolproof, right? Because they're coming from a position of strength, they're coming from a position of preparedness for a foolproof plan. And then you have to decide the plan's danger level, and this is definitely dangerous. Okay, this guy's killed 2 people. He's crazy, and he is ready to kill more people. All right, so when we're rolling to resolve the scene, roll 2 dice equal to exceed the required roll. Apply +1 for each character that brings a significant skill or successful skill. All right. +1 for use of crucial piece of kit or a great asset. -1 if a participating character is unsuited for the mission. All right. So their plan, because Owen said he has the ability to remotely drop the ramp, and assuming that Luke has not changed anything. In fact, Luke himself, he has probably disconnected and stopped the fire and fought the fire himself, even though some things are definitely damaged. So I'm going to say on a 4, 5, or 6, just from my knowledge as I'm planning. 4, 5, or 6, the fire's already out, even though the ship is probably still full of smoke. Oh, all right. So he is he has disconnected those things because he doesn't want to get electrocuted, but he's not really gone in and tried to do any damage control. So there's probably 1 or 2 of those consoles are still smoking, and he's got the air mask. So that smoke that's filling the ship, maybe he wants to do that. Maybe it's acting as a screen for him, so he's doing that on purpose. We'll see. So what they're going to do is they're going to roll up. Owen's going to open the ramp remotely, and they're going to head in just so they'll be protected by the vehicle. They're going to head in, and then they're going to spread out. They're going to split up. Owen is going to take... Owen's going to try to take the doctor, and he doesn't want... he doesn't want Giovanni to go after Luke. So he's gonna tell Giovanni to lead the crew that's gonna go try to stop the fire on the bridge. And he's going to take Penelope because she's the technician. She's better equipped to do something like that. And so Giovanni, Alicia, and Rosemary are going to go try to hunt down and subdue Luke. Now, they're armed. They all have like the stun sticks. And Giovanni's definitely armed. So I'm going to say that Luke doesn't have an advantage as far as that. Everyone's going to stay together, and so he's not going to be able to. He might be able to sneak up on somebody, but no one's going to be left alone. He's not going to be able to go one-on-one with somebody like he was able to with the captain and Benicio. So I'm going to say that it's probably a solid plan because they outnumber him 5-1. They have equipment that allows them to move through the ship, and they are reasonably armed. So that's going to put this plan as solid. I think it's solid. And so now we're going to roll. Let's see, does anyone, for each character that brings a significant skill to the scene. So I'm going to say that even though Giovanni has a rifle and he knows how to use it like as a survival skill, he doesn't have gun combat. So I'm not gonna necessarily count that for him. But Penelope, she definitely brings skills, at least for the taking care of the bridge, right? She understands how it works. She knows how to undo any shorts that she might find, throwing breakers as she needs to. And a -1 for a participating character that is unsuited for the mission. I think Rosemary she's pretty unsuited. Her job in this plan is to help track down and subdue Luke, and she's definitely unsuited for that. Once the medical stuff starts coming in, then she'll be helpful. But otherwise, no. So I'm going to say that Penny's technical skills for the plan are canceled out by Rosemary's general incompetence in this kind of situation. So it's just going to be a straight 2d6 roll against a target number of 8. Will they make it? Oh, so close. So close. By 1. All right, so it failed. And now we're going to go over to our consequences. All right. The dice rolled, whether success or failure, but there's more to it than that. This is, again, this is on page 52, talking about the consequences. The more difficult the plan to complete, the more chance a consequence will follow. All right, so roll 2d6 for the possible consequences of a mission, whether or not it was successful. So in this, using the scene resolution, even if you succeed, then you can have a something bad happen in the process. Okay. All right, so roll 2 dice 6 for the possible consequences of a mission, whether or not it's successful. Compare the roll to the plan's required roll. In this case, it was 8. If it rolls under, then there's a bad consequence. Okay. Whether the mission succeeded or failed, something bad happened along the way. All right, often this piece of bad luck suggests itself. Um, Now, if the plan was a success, then you can, it modifies how you roll. So if it was a low risk, easy kind of thing, it's a better chance on here. So here are the consequences. 2 dice 6. 8. All right, well, that's not the worst. Part of the mission was failed or incriminating evidence left behind. All right, so part of the mission was failed. So 2 parts of the mission, that's either going to be the firefighting, the controlling the bridge, or finding or subduing Luke. So on a 1 through 3, they were not able to put out the fire on the bridge, and that's going to have some serious consequences. 4, 5, or 6, they were not able to subdue Luke, and because it was a failure, I might turn that into somebody getting hurt or something. We'll see. 1 through 3, the fire. 4, 5, or 6, Luke. All right. So they were not able to subdue Luke. I'm going to say on a 5 or a 6, there was some kind of contact with Luke, but he escaped them. Otherwise, he's hiding somewhere, and with the smoke and the time he had to prepare and everything, they just were not able to find him. So 1 through 4, they weren't able to find him. Okay, so 5 or 6. So there was some kind of contact with Luke. Possibly just a booby trap. But one or the other, he's kind of outnumbered, so he doesn't, even though he's kind of crazy, he doesn't feel like he can do a full on, face to face or full on attack. So I think I'm going to, let's see. I'm going to give another 2d6 roll on the consequences here. I'm gonna roll here, and then I'm also going to roll on the ship and action inspiration tables to see maybe what happened. Okay, a 4. So that's a little more. Oh, okay. So that's a death. And to be honest, I think that fits. I think that fits. So now I'm going to use the inspiration tables over here on page 73 for the ship and the action. All right, so 5, 5 on the ship. Hidden. Okay, so that makes sense. So either Luke was hidden and launched an ambush, or there was a booby trap of some kind. Oh, and a 2-2 on the action. Clash. Okay, so it seems All right, so it seems the scene that's really pointing me that he was hidden. There's a clash, so he leaps out from somewhere. He does a nice jump scare, and he manages to kill somebody. Let's see who he kills, or who's going to be affected by that. So it was Owen. I'm going to say that he didn't interfere with the bridge crew because they succeeded. Um, or did they? Yeah, I'll say that they at least they got the fire put out. Um, and so that's going to be Alicia, Rosemary, and Owen. So 1, 2, and 3. Oh, it's Owen. Owen. So they pour from the ATV and uh, they rush. They split up immediately. And from the lower cargo deck, they rush forward and they clamber up. Half of them, they stay together until they split up to where Penny and Giovanni, they head up carefully. He's got his rifle out. He's itching. He's itching. And they grab some emergency breathing masks too, plugging in from station to station because smoke is still pouring through the hatch. They run away. They run through here. They see the captain's dead body, and Giovanni shakes his head. That son of a bitch. But he doesn't have time to worry about it. They rush forward, and Penny stops Giovanni. She grabs him by the back of his flight suit, or his, I guess he's probably wearing an Explorer. She grabs him by the back of his jacket and pulls him back just in time because she sees beneath the deck where, or she sees the deck and a maintenance panel has been pulled up and she can see where a bunch of main power feeds have been crossed and they're still sparking and smoking. And she says, "Oh my God, well, this is what he did. I didn't think he knew the ship that well." And so she opens up her toolkit and she gets on some thick electrical gloves and she starts running up and down the passageway, pulling breakers to deactivate the circuits. And then she starts working on them and she says, "The forward is de-energized. Go get fire equipment, DC in there. Start, something's still burning. Go." And so while she's working on that, Giovanni, he's still going through the smoke, plugging in from one oxygen area to the other. And he gets inside, he can barely see, but he can see that 2 of the consoles are burning bright. The flickering of the flames is actually brighter than the red emergency lanterns. And as they are, he slings his rifle. He pulls up another. He grabs another one of the fire extinguishers. And now that everything's de-energized, he's spraying. He's fighting. And in a couple of minutes, Penelope has come forward with another with some more firefighting gear from one of the damage control lockers, and they're spraying, and now the place is filled with smoke and filled with the exhaust from the fire extinguishers. While they're doing that, the other three are slowly, nervously making their way through they're still searching the main deck, going compartment by compartment, because they just don't know where he's at. As they walk by, Alicia peeks her head in here, and Rosemary she's got her taser, kind of shaking it, or her stick, kind of pointing it at every shadow nervously. And Owen is bringing up the rear, looking behind. He's got his stun stick as well, hoping he doesn't have to kill his friend. And as he passes this to room 20 right here, Luke comes out and he sneaks up behind Owen. And in his hand is a support pole. And at the end of it, he has spot welded one of the large survival knives. So he has a spear. And Owen spins around as he feels a tap on his shoulder. And he turns and he sees Luke's grinning face. Luke! And as he calls out Luke, Alicia and Rosemary, they spin around, and Owen has his stun stick, but Luke's spear is a lot longer. And Owen starts, he says, Luke, don't do this. Luke, come on. Just put it down. Come on, man. I can help you. Remember that time on Proxima, man? I was there for you. We will get through this. Luke, please. And Owen lowers his stun baton to look placating, to look peaceful. Luke, and his plea is interrupted when Luke's spear thrusts him straight through the heart. Luke screams, "You won't leave me!" And he jerks the spear out. And Owen is collapsing. He drops his stun stick, and blood is pouring out. He's, Luke. And he's falling over. And from here, we might turn into a couple of, maybe like a little mini combat area, but we'll keep it theater of the mind for the moment. And he pulls it. Alicia, she stares on. Rosemary is staring on. And I'm going to give them a combined reaction roll. Okay. So 10. So that's good. Rosemary, she's kind of freaked out. But Alicia comes running forward. You son of a bitch! And she's zapping her stick, and she is coming at him. And he just smiles, and he steps back through this pressure door. And he's going to throw his spear. He's going to throw his spear at Alicia as she comes charging at him. And regardless of what happens, he shuts the pressure door. Because remember, he escaped. They failed that part of the mission, so he evaded them. He escaped. And this is how it happened. Her charge is interrupted as the spear flies towards her, and she tries to jump out of the way. We'll determine if she gets hit or not here in a second. But as she does, it gives him enough room to get through the pressure door and seal it, and he manually seals it from the other side. Let's see. All right, so that's just going to be if he's throwing something. Now, there's no specific rules in Hostile for like throwing spears. It counts as a ranged attack. So we're just going to. Guess we'll just have him roll. We'll have him roll dexterity to see how well he does on his throw. Let's see. She's jumping out of the way. She's diving out of the way because she's moved enough so that he can give. So I'm going to give a -1. So we'll basically cancel out his dexterity bonus as he hurls the spear. Oh, just enough. Just enough. So Alicia Sharp jumps out of the way, but at the last second, she looks up and she sees that he actually waited just for a second. He kind of psyched her out. So she leaped to the side, and then he threw his spear. All right, so let's see. They have a thing for a spear. I don't think they have a thing for a spear, but they do have. Let's see. Oh, in combat, let's see. Now, there's no spear. That's basically what he made. There's no spear listed in the gear, but with a hand-to-hand attack, a large blade does 3d6 points of damage. And this is a pretty heavy spear. You can make a case for a 2d6, but I think I'm going to go for the 3d6. We're going to see what Alicia. See how much damage Alicia takes here. 3d6. As she looks up and she screams at the last second as she realizes that the spear is coming right towards her. Okay, not too bad. I mean, not, getting stabbed with a spear always sucks, or so I've heard. But all right, so we're going to look at Alicia. So the makeshift spear flies and cuts open her leg. It's not as serious as it could be. There's no major arterial bleeding, but she screams as it drives itself into her leg a couple inches and then falls to the deck with a clatter. Her blood is running through. She's crouched over, holding her leg. You son of a bitch! And despite her pain, she goes rushing forward, and she still tries to get the door open, but Luke has jammed it with something. She doesn't know what. Some kind of tool. He's been waiting. There's no telling, and that Rosemary comes to her senses, and she says, "Forget him, forget him. We need to get Owen to sick bay. Come on, come on." And so the two ladies drag Owen forward. Remember, this hatch right here leads to the forward section, and there's the sick bay. So they drag Owen. Owen is still, his eyes are still rolling, and Alicia is grunting in pain at every step as they leave a bloody trail through the compartment, and they get to the med bay, and up in the bridge they can hear them still fighting the fire and trying to get things secured there. The women get Owen up onto the auto dock, onto the medical table, and Rosemary knows right away it's too late. He is bled out. His eyes are already staring off into whatever awaits him in the hereafter. I'm gonna give Rosemary a reaction roll. Let's see if she does. Okay, she does not respond well. So we'll come up to our reaction tables, and we'll see what she does. One die 6. This is on page 70. Okay. It gives us a 3. She loses her temper. The situation has gotten to the character. All right, so Rosemary, she's tried to give CPR. She's tried to use the defibrillator, even though that wouldn't work anyway, but she's just tried to do everything, and now she's covered in Owen's blood. And when she finally gives up and realizes that she can't save him, she starts screaming at Allison, "Why did you just stand there? Why did you just stand there? You're the pilot. You're in command. You should have stopped him. Why did you do that? What is wrong with you?" And Alicia, she just really doesn't have time to deal with this. She's bleeding out of her leg, and she says, "Shut up. Calm down. Calm down. You can't help him. Luke killed him just like he killed the others. Can you look at my leg, please? In case you didn't notice." And it's possible Rosemary didn't notice. As she looks down and she pulls Owen off of the medical bed and lays him nearby and begins to treat Alicia's stab wound. And as she is putting in the sutures, Alicia's gritting. The klaxons, which have still kind of been going off all this time, the klaxons suddenly go off, and the silence is deafening. The lights come back up, driving away the ghostly red of the emergency lanterns. And then Giovanni and Penelope come rushing through the door. They see Owen on the ground, dead, lying in a pool of his own blood, and they see that Alicia has the leg of her flight suit has been cut away as it's too many names. As Rosemary is finishing suturing her together. What the hell happened? Rosemary shakes her head, and Luke ambushed us by the fuel processor. He jumped out. Owen tried to talk to him. Owen tried to convince him, and then Luke stabbed him. Just stabbed him and killed him. Oh my God. That's it. I'm gonna put a bullet in that motherfucker's head. Wait. He starts to go running out. Penelope grabs him by the shoulder and says, "You can't just go running off. You've got to wait for the next episode of Hostile Solo." All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Whew, crazy stuff. That's how that scene resolution works. You roll it. You put the fiction in the middle. Use the tables for inspiration. And next week, we will see just how long Luke can keep up his killing spree. Not bad for a weenie little navigator. All right, we'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching.